What is going on, everyone? Matthew97657 here, and today we are back with yet another figure unboxing and review. And as the title and thumbnail suggests, this is going to be the SH MonsterArts, I think it's Night Combat or Decisive Battle, it's one of those taglines. Super Mechagodzilla versus Rodan, Fire Rodan. And yeah, so with that being said, nothing more to it than to get on right on into it and let us start. I think we're gonna have a great time here. This is definitely a set of figures I have been looking forward to. I think these got revealed back last year in around March, last spring, maybe even the summertime. So it's been quite a while since the release of that, but alas, we have finally made it. Put our handy dandy knife there. Looks like we just have some packaging, right? Protective plastic. That's my order. And this should be it. The rest of the box is just kind of like filler stuff. So very nicely bubble wrapped. This one came out from Kappa Hobby. I haven't shopped with them too much. I actually never knew where they kind of existed, but Kappa Hobby is definitely a very nice retailer. They offer really good prices and they ship out extremely fast. I want to say they're probably on the West Coast, obviously, probably so. Usually I'd assume they're the first ones to get it. And who doesn't like getting it fast, right? So a little help from the knife there. We were kind of struggling, but this is just the kind of like case box that it comes in, right? So SH MonsterArts Super Mechagodzilla 1993 something version. Makuhari Decisive Battle. There it is. I almost had it. Makuhari Decisive Battle. Yeah, and it comes with the Garuda. So, yep, we're just going to open it up here and we will see the actual box. So, we're going to put our knife down once again and just go into it here. Ooh, there it is. All right, here we go, guys. It's coming up right now. There it is. Our very nice box, back side of the box. There it is. The front side of the box looks great. You have Mechagodzilla and the Garuda, and then Fire Rodan as well. A very nice kind of blue coloration that is seen throughout the movie's poster. So very, very nice. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Very cool stuff. Did they put the 2 in there too or no? Nope, just Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. That's the side there. We have some stock images as well, just kind of to see how it all works, what it comes with, and yep, very, very cool nonetheless. So let us keep going here, right? All right, so we have gotten everything sorted out here to the best of my knowledge. There's quite a bit of stuff going on with a lot of these figures, which is probably for the better. But alas, let's go ahead and get started on the actual review. So here is Mechagodzilla 2. I can't say super just yet, but here is the base Mechagodzilla 2. The kind of like thruster cannons and just the base mold. And I believe that is die cast. It's a very, very nice premium feeling. So definitely did very well with the choice of material for this figure. So very good nonetheless, right? So going on to our articulation, we'll start off with the head. The head kind of has a lot of things going on for it. So you can open the mouth just like that, just to shoot out the plasma beam. I believe that's what it's called. That very colorful beam. Besides that, articulation, you can't look down too much. Mechagodzilla 2 was never looking down that much. It can look up. So what I just did there was for the flight mode, which it kind of looks a little bit awkward the way I had it there, but it does have that kind of like articulation, which is still very cool. As you can see, probably something more like that. Just the top piece came off there. So very, very cool to see nonetheless. With that being said, let us keep going after I get this piece on real quick. Very, very nice. The neck piece is kind of here. You can see the spines kind of go in when they need to, which is extremely cool. Depending on if you want to have this guy in the flight mode. But besides that, it's more of just a swivel around the neck. You cannot go all the way back. I'm getting a little bit of resistance there. So about halfway there. And then this piece around the neck here is not articulated at all. Going on here, it looks like there's a little bit of a seam there. I'm not as sure why that seems to be in, like, kind of by itself. It might just be the mold. Going on to the breastplates here, nothing too crazy of a crunch. Obviously, you do have this centerpiece, which is replaceable, but You can't really get too much of a crunch. You can kind of swivel it here and there, but not an insane amount of articulation that we've seen compared to some other figures. Going on to the arms, a very nice, I want to say we can get a full 360 here. Yep, we definitely can. And then you can't really move them too much up, down, stuff like that. Going on to the elbow joint, you can kind of bring it up like that. And then you can't bring it up back to back because there's a piece blocking it. So very cool to see this kind of like rubbery, coily piece act with the articulation. And then going on to the hands, we just have I want to say it's just a ball joint on there nonetheless, but the hands do look very good. Going on to the lower body piece, we've kind of gone to the abdomen. The crotch is just, I think, attached to the tail piece. The legs here, you can kind of kick them out just a little bit. So you can hear that like little metallic thing that's just on the ankle there. So can't go too far back. Actually, yes, you can't. You can, but I would not force that. It didn't sound too good. But I don't think I want to do that again. And then the knee joint there, just barely, right? Just a barely knee joint going on. We have our little like ankle piece here that's just kind of floating around. And then for the feet, you do have the foot here that can kind of come up and down. We have this heel piece, which is a different piece, but I believe I'm correct. You can make it flat for the flying. Maybe I'm incorrect, or maybe you just fly like, come on, like that. I'm not sure. I wouldn't have him flying, to be honest, but you know, you do have the opportunity to do that, so that's still very cool. Going on to the back end here, this piece is a little bit more loose than the other side, so I'm not really sure what's going on entirely. I think we need to just slam it in, right? Ah, I see. Let's see if I can get that in. Nope, I cannot. It's a little bit loose. It came disconnected. That's probably why we're hearing a little bit more rattling than usual. But going on towards the tail here, you cannot put that up at all. There are 3 different pieces here, but even then the articulation is extremely limited. And then this end piece is probably not too rotational. So for the base figure, very, very cool. The die cast I really do love. Limited range of articulation, but I mean, I think it's kind of to be expected. Next up, we'll go to the Garuda here, which is easy to pose on the stand there. But we do have the Garuda, that's the bottom piece. And then the maser cannons, and then obviously the top aerial view. And then as you can see, G-force there. So extremely cool. You've got your cannons, and then you've got very nice metallic silver paint apps, as well as white paint apps, black paint apps seen throughout the jet's design. So very cool. And as you would expect, you can put the flaps down or put the cannons down once you do Super Mechagodzilla, which is awesome. Very short, nothing near as complicated as the first figure. But next up, we do have our Fire Rodan. This is a reissue / repaint of, I think, the 2013 mold. So let's go ahead and get started. You can kind of see the translucency of the gold there. I think that really pops out. Even the eye design looks pretty good. The coloration looks really good on this figure. Let's go ahead and try and get some mouth articulation. Not known for too much of a mouth articulation translation, but it's there just a little bit. We have the head piece here. There's a neck piece here, another neck piece there. So we kind of have some swivel right in there. You can see this. Oh, sorry about that. You can see some swivel, and then that second piece as well. And you can kind of just mess around with them barely. Going on towards the lower end of the body, we do have a wing piece on each side that kind of like holds the wings together. Going to that, you can move them like a little bit out like that. Right, nothing too crazy. Going on to the wings themselves, you have a middle flap end, and then you also have another flap end on this end. So you can kind of get a little bit more articulation if you want to do that as well. So very cool. 2 pieces of articulation there. The body is pretty much one piece until you get to where the legs here. The legs are pretty small, so you want to be careful with this one. It looks like you can kind of twist it just like that. You saw there, right? Me twisting it. And then you also have a knee joint. So maybe if you want, you can kind of do that kind of like clawing in motion, but something like that, maybe it doesn't really work out too well. I think it's probably best to have this one just in the flying position, unless you can get really creative with it. I mean, I'm just kind of trying to do this here. So besides that, we do have a tail as well. Very, very short, as you see there. It looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of articulation. So it can get a little bit more fluid motion than you might imagine, but still very cool nonetheless. So that's just the base figures, right? We have our Fire Rodan, our Mechagodzilla, and then obviously the Garuda, which we will be attaching to make Super Mechagodzilla. But I mean, there is quite a bit of accessories going on here. Just to kind of debrief, these stand pieces are to help Rodan's wing support, so you can always do that. I'll try to do that to the best of my ability here in a little bit. We have these pieces, which I believe are used for the Garuda and Super Mechagodzilla, so we will get to that eventually. This is the piece for the Garuda, as you can see, to attach. And then we have the, I believe this is the Maser Cannon, Hyper Maser, no, not Hyper Maser. This is just the Plasma Cannon. I forget what it is for Mechagodzilla, where he shoots the beam out of stomach. We do have the other set of hands there for the wiring that he shoots out. And then last but not least, we do have the broken eye accessory, which is awesome. And I haven't taken them out the bag yet, but this is what I was referring to. It's kind of like the hand missiles that he shoots into Godzilla, and it's just letting loose, just full on, pretty much kills Godzilla with those, I believe. So we'll go ahead and get everything situated. We do have a manual here, so if anyone needs any photos of these of any kind, feel free to take them. I'm here to try to preserve as much as we can, just in case any stuff like this ever gets lost. So we do what we must, but besides that, I've got a journey of how to get every single thing assembled here. But I will communicate it to you guys in the best way possible. So with that being said, we will come back and have Super Mechagodzilla ready to go. Here we go. All right, so we do have the Garuda finally attached onto Mechagodzilla 2 here, finally establishing itself as Super Mechagodzilla. Very, very nice. As you can tell, it's the same Garuda as before, and now it's finally applied on. I did apply the Maser Cannon, the Hyper... Oh my gosh, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there it is, which the hyper offensive stomach beam, essentially. We have the offensive mouth opening as well. So Super Mechagodzilla in all of its glory, just, you know, fighting Rodan, fighting Godzilla, just going absolutely insane, because Super Mechagodzilla really does go insane in that movie. So extremely cool to see. Obviously, you can pose it in the way you might like. You can have him in an air position if you like. I don't think I have a stand that would support him that tall, but very, very cool, right? Nonetheless, it's not too hard to get it all assembled. I'll kind of show you guys the premise of it. And then we also do have our wires as well. So these wires pretty much just go into the hand and right in there, like right in there. Like it's small. It might be a little hard to miss, but it's right in there. You just attach it. I know mine are extremely bent still, but just to kind of give you an idea there, if it focuses, that's the kind of like the stabbing portion of it when it gets shot out, and it goes right into Godzilla, dealing a ton of damage to Godzilla. So very cool. I think these are a first on the MonsterArts line to have these wires for this Mechagodzilla. I know that the Mecha King Ghidorah does use the wires sometimes as well. So they're pretty long. I mean, just look, this is like this is my table here. It pretty much goes through my table. So very, very cool. I wouldn't put these on just because I'm not too big of a fan of these wire ones since they're so dang long. Same with Gigan. But very cool nonetheless. And last but not least, before I forget, we do have our eye plate that you can just get your nail under in and then take it out. And then with that, if I can find the darn thing. All right, and just to kind of showcase, I think it's not Super Mechagodzilla when it happens, but Rodan does peck the eye of Mechagodzilla there, thus leaving one of the eyes empty and the other eye still lit up. So you still do have that range of customability, which is extremely cool. Awesome, I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to deassemble / put on the Garuda here. So it's pretty simple, I think, to my knowledge. I think you want to put the cannons up, and then from here, you just want to take it apart. It's being held by 4 little plastic things, which also came off. So these were the other pieces that did come with the accessory. These are the other pieces, and you want to make sure that the kind of latch piece here is attaching to the back plate on the Garuda, which we will get to very shortly. That is our Garuda piece. So just in case you wanted to put it on, you take off the original back plate piece, put that in there. The Garuda is going to have the stock piece, which will look something like this. If I can get it going. It's a little bit of trouble on my end. There we go. It'll go on just like that. And then we have the stock pieces. The way you can tell which one is which is that the stock pieces do not have the curvature. So these are the stock pieces there. They do not have the curvature as the Super Mechagodzilla Garuda piece. So this is the stock one. As you can see there, right? There is a little bit of curvature right there. But if you compare it to the other one, you can see just how different they are in length, or not length, depth. So there's a good shot there, for example. A lot more depth and smoothness, if that's the word there, on the Super Mechagodzilla one. So, right, so pretty much you want to take those off, the stock pieces, which will be right in here. You take off this piece here, you just kind of get your nail under it and just take it off. You want to attach the curved pieces right in there so that the latch is kind of coming onto the back of the Garuda, just like the stock pieces had it, for example, just like that there. And then so you kind of push it in a little bit. You get your second stock piece with the curvature, and then you put it in just like that. From there, I want to say all you do is you want to match up the 4 pegs there that go. Wait, are we missing something? I don't think we are. Nope. Let's go ahead and keep going. So you just want to attach it very gently. Looks like one of my pieces came out, wasn't pushed in to the best of its ability. Make sure those are still on, and then, oh my goodness, and now it just wants to not cooperate with me. So let us just push it in a little bit. We get that in there, and I think it's not wanting to, so we'll go ahead and just put it on like that, or like that, and from there you just push down your cannons, and boom, you have your Super Mechagodzilla. So very pretty easy. It might be a little bit crazy at first, but once again, deassembly, you want to go ahead and, I guess, move these up. Take this. My pieces just fell out because I think they're a little bit loose. You want to take out your back piece here. And to change out the stomach maser cannon, what I found easiest was when I took out the original piece like that, you can kind of see the ball joints on the other side. It's kind of hard to see with my camera, but it's right there. And from there, you can see the ball joint. You kind of just give it a little bit of force, take it out there. And then here is your stomach piece. It kind of is wedged in this hard plastic piece. You kind of just want to get your nail in there or something. Not violently, but just very gently, kind of like make your way around. Eventually you pop it out. And then you put your other piece in. So this was the stock piece. Just go ahead and very gently kind of give it some force, push it in there so it doesn't fall out too easily. And then you do have the body split once again. So from there, very gently, you kind of just attach, make sure that you're not being too rough on the ball joints. You'll hear a little snap. And then to put on the stock piece, once again, it's very simple. Only one way you could do it. And boom, you're back to normal Mechagodzilla 2, which is awesome and very cool. So we did go through all of our accessories. The only thing I really didn't get through was this Rodan piece, but I figured that it's not too crazy. Let's try and just see how it might work. So you want to take apart the stand and then swing it to where it will have the wing attached. So you can move this joint here on the swivel and then just kind of make sure you align it, which is kind of hard. But if you want, you can try to make sure you align it so that it's holding it together, but as you can see, it's kind of pulling it up. But that's the kind of gimmick with these stands, just to give it that extra support on the stand itself. So as you tell, I kind of just prefer the old stand, or the stand that it originally came with. I think it just works a little bit better in my opinion. I don't think you really need all this, but if you do need that extra support, it is available. So with that being said, let us go ahead and get on with our comparisons here. I'm going to change them back to Super Mechagodzilla so we can finally see what everything looks like within our comparison. So here we go. All right, so it looks like we finally made it to our comparisons. And to be honest, I don't have too many comparisons, at least for today, just because I don't own too many from this film. I think only because I don't really get too much from this one. Anyways, regardless, we do have the semi-recent Super Mechagodzilla Bandai Movie Monster Series limited version that they had. I think this was the 2022 winner, if I'm correct, for the poll. But as you can tell, the difference from the paint, obviously the Movie Monster Series is just kind of one giant silver paint application. But on the MonsterArts, to be expected, we have a lot more paint application. The gunmetal gray with some, no, I wouldn't even say some like dark shadings, but I think the light just kind of gives that feeling to it. But as you can tell, two totally different, well, the same central monster mech, but two different standards that they are held to, obviously, right? So there you go. Obviously, you cannot take off the Garuda off of the Bandai, but you can with the MonsterArts. So make that what you will. I think it is a lot cheaper to get the Movie Monster Series, but obviously the prices dictates the quality of the figure, so, and the articulation nonetheless, right? So very cool still from Bandai. Next up, we have probably the closest Heisei MonsterArts I have. This is the Rebirth Godzilla from Versus Destroya at the very end. I don't own the, I guess it's technically what, 93? 91, 92, 93. Yeah, this should be the 93 movie, but this is the closest Heisei Godzilla I have to that 93 mold that's MonsterArts, so I would say it looks very nice. I want to say the suits are probably a little bit different, but still very cool nonetheless. I never grabbed the original release from the MonsterArts, so very cool if you want to have both of those guys go up against one another. So very cool, as I said. So with that, let's go ahead and do the original Fire Rodan release. Now, this might be a little bit of a throwback. This one doesn't get too much stuff on the channel, only because I never really need to bring this one out. And it's been on the shelf for a fair amount of time. It's just picked up a little bit of dust. I haven't dusted in a while, but just a tiny bit seen throughout it, but alas, right? This is that same mold, and obviously we will do comparison, but this is the original release, and this is the newer Super Mechagodzilla. So obviously you can kind of see that red throughout the old mold compared to our newer mold, which we will get to here in a little bit. Just wanted to compare the two next to one another if you had the original release. I actually do like the coloration on that one. However, I do believe this one is a lot more accurate to what we're getting. You can kind of see that dark hint of like a reddish brown in there compared to the original release, where it's honestly just kind of a standard red, and one of my wings is starting to go out, just of age type of deal. But yeah, I mean, you can see from the horns alone, the little bit of the translucency compared to here. It's kind of like a painted horn, but it is definitely kind of a little bit hard to tell what's going on. In terms of the head models, oh, didn't mean to do that. In terms of the head models, let's see if I can do it the same for this one. Okay, nice. So in terms of the head models, they look good. Obviously, on the newer one, you kind of have a lighter red compared to the other one, where it's a lot more like of a, I guess if you want to call it an unnatural red, it's just kind of like the color red. This one has a little bit more. You can kind of see the translucent plastic throughout the head. And then obviously under the neck, you also have some of that paint app, which is kind of that like fleshy skin color as well. The beaks, more or less the same. It looks like we have a little bit of blue on this one compared to this one. This one is just straight gray, but that one does have a little bit of blue. But yeah, even on the spikes on the back, translucent compared to these are just kind of painted on. I know it's kind of hard to see there, but painted on like that there compared to the translucency on this, which really pops out. And I guess going on to the back of the figures, we kind of have, this one looks dark. I think it's just the lighting. This one is darker, but they kind of look the same. This one is definitely darker compared to this one in real life. I don't think the light's doing it too good of a justice job on it, but even on the wings there, you can kind of see this one just kind of plain. Not to call out, but you can see the veining on the wings, like within there. You kind of have this yellow splash of paint, and the rest of the wing color is kind of like that red, that magma red. Honestly, I think it still looks nice. No way am I dogging on it. I just really do like the coloration on this one. You see the veins, I think at least I think they're veins, kind of going throughout the entire part of the paint job. And then you can have a little bit more natural of a color diminish, starting from this deep red, orange, and then it kind of fizzles into this kind of like fleshy color that we did once again. So very cool. Let's go ahead and look at the stomachs real fast. So compare, let's go ahead and set that one down real fast. So this one, the old release is kind of just that yellowish orange. And then on the new release, it looks, I can't even tell. On the new release, we have kind of a little bit more coloration going on with that fleshy white slash pale skin into the red with the spikes. The spikes probably look a little bit more, a little bit less of a quality control kind of everywhere. But this one, I think they just painted over it. So I wouldn't say there's a decisive winner. And then going on to the legs, yeah, the one on our right, so it should be, I guess, the left. This one here is darker compared to the other one. And same dealio with the tails there. What a horrible comparison. Let me get that going again. So there are the tails as well. So as you can see, it's just kind of a difference between the two. Pretty obvious. Take your pick, which one you think looks better. I think as long as I've had this figure for honestly probably over a decade now, I really do like the coloration on the new re-release. However, I do like the old stand on the old release. So shame that they didn't bring that back. They've kind of done away with those like really cool stands, but it's still pretty cool nonetheless. And lastly, for our comparisons, this one is just kind of a fun one for two things. We do have the I guess I'll just call it the heat ray beam for lack of knowledge from the original release. And if you want, you can kind of just try and fit it in like that. So obviously it still does fit pretty much because they are the same mold, but it looks nice. If you do have the original release, you could definitely do that, but by no means necessary. I think you need it. So very cool comparison. And then besides that, our final comparison, and I don't think I can take the head off, but our final comparison, like the accessories that came with the beam effect, the original release did come with the Mechagodzilla head that gets pecked out, and I've been holding on to this for a decade, and I never thought I'd see the day where I actually would like have a Mechagodzilla with the they both look dark, but as you can see, I never thought I'd have the Mechagodzilla without the eye, because I just figured, oh well, it's gone. Like, this is for the standard first release, this one here, and I would have had to have bought in that, which is expensive, and then I would have had to have bought in the add-on Garuda, which is also still expensive. I missed out on the 2018 reissue of this figure here, but finally, they have done the miracle of putting everything in one bundle. So I think if you're a Mechagodzilla 2 fan, I think this is the definitive one to get, in my personal opinion. Obviously, I don't have the other two to compare it with, but I think that's what they're kind of going with this one. It's kind of like the definitive version of this suit, as well as Rodan, because we haven't gotten this thing in like 10 years. So it's been a while. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good release. I love the concept, the duo release of the monsters there, and plus even the just all effects piece with the Super Mechagodzilla. So it's finally good to have an articulated Super Mechagodzilla. I think the mold can sometimes kind of like fidget around when you're trying to do something else, like you put on a hand and then a leg goes like flying, like in another position. But nonetheless, I really do like it. I really love the gunmetal touch to it. I think it's die cast that they use for this. So it's honestly like a pretty good one in my opinion. I just do have some gripes with it, but still good nonetheless. If you could ever get this set on sale and you're a big fan of the movie, I'd highly suggest it. You have a very nice, accurate looking Rodan, in my perspective, a lot better than the one in terms of paint compared to the original release. And then you do get the very nice Super Mechagodzilla / Mechagodzilla 2 if you don't want to have the Garuda on him. So a lot of options you can do here. So I'll keep this one, the Super Mechagodzilla, just because I love how it looks there. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up. This is one of the longer videos because there was just so much to go through. In terms of what's next, MonsterArts wise, I think it's Space Godzilla that's coming back. Jet Jaguar and the new GXK figures, but I probably won't be getting those since they're pretty much repaints and those molds aren't essentially the best. But yeah, I think if you have the chance before it just comes out of the market and then it's gone forever, I would highly suggest getting this if you are a fan of the film. If not, you can go ahead and just pass up on it. But with that being said, that's going to go ahead and end up the video here. I'm really scared to see how long this one took. But I think we did everything we wanted to. We showed off how to assemble the Garuda, take off pieces, add pieces, stuff like that. So I'm very happy with how this review came out in terms of me showing things off. Maybe I didn't do as well. As always, leave me a comment if there's anything I can do better. But I think we will end off on that. So for the second time being said, with that being said, as always, let me know what you guys think of these guys. Did you pass? Did you decide to get it? Is it on the way? Let me know what you guys think of the release. I think it's a pretty good, solid release in the MonsterArts. I know the Mechagodzilla can be kind of finicky with some of its pieces, but I still think it's a very solid release to finally get this one there. So I will see you guys within the next video. See ya.